Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. We are so excited that you guys are tuning in today. We have basically a brand new episode for you guys today with a guest unlike any that we have interviewed before, because today we are interviewing Brittany about her food product, Malibu Milk. So the process that she has gone through to get this product into stores is so cool and unique. I have listened to a couple of her episodes and I was like, this would be a great fit just because we're interested in interviewing really any creativepreneur who is introducing a product somewhere. So let me read about Brittany for you guys real quick before we start asking her the questions we have today. Brittany grew up on the beaches of Malibu, eating local produce and appreciating at a very young age that food is fuel. After graduating Georgetown University in Le Cordon Bleu, Brittany trained at the 3 Michelin-starred Le Bernardin and the Food Network in New York, where she studied the finest techniques in the culinary world. While trying to get pregnant, Brittany was struggling to conceive and visited a fertility doctor who recommended the autoimmune protocol, with which she experienced great results. She had more energy, reduced inflammation, improved focus, and strength. She eliminated dairy, nuts, gluten, and soy from her diet and was searching for a milk alternative, and the idea hit her. What if she made some milk from flaxseed? Not only was the flaxseed milk allergen-free, but had a fantastic texture due to the fact that flax is a natural emulsifier. Malibu Milk was born. Brittany wanted to share with the world this incredible product that helped her to feel her absolute best, and she successfully launched Malibu Milk in grocery stores in the LA area in 2019. So, Brittany, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking some time to be here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we would love for you to introduce in your own words a little bit about who you are, maybe share where you're located, family, pets, some kind of those fun behind the scene things.
Sure. So I grew up in Malibu, as you mentioned, but I was actually born in Ohio. So I always like to say that I have nice, strong Midwestern roots. And my family moved out to California when I was about 7. So I did spend most of my childhood in California and LA, and it was a huge change, as you can imagine, coming from Ohio to Malibu. But I'm grateful for both experiences because they were so drastically different, and just gave me, I think, a really interesting perspective on kind of the world. I still live in LA. We live on the West Side. We actually just moved from West Hollywood to the West Side about 6 months ago. I have a son who will be 2 in April, and I am pregnant with a little girl who's coming in March, so just right around the corner. We love taking walks. I take my son for a walk every morning. Sometimes I'm on work calls. Sometimes I'm showing him the different, trucks and tractors going by, but getting outside and just moving is such an important part of my day and part of my life. I would say that, this company was my firstborn. I started it 3 years ago. I've poured everything into it from, time, money, energy, literally everything that I am. And I'm really proud of where we are today, but it's not easy. Every day there's new challenges. It's exhausting trying to be a mom, a pregnant mom who is working full time and who has, your own business. There's no maternity leave when you have your own business. It's just not really in the cards. I'll try to take a couple weeks, a month if I'm really lucky, but I'll still be online. I'll still be checking in. And that's just the reality of having your own business. And so I think a lot of times people glorify it, and it's a lot of fun, and you do get to be your own boss, and the freedom and flexibility in that is incredible. But there's also a lot riding on your own shoulders. My husband is an entrepreneur as well. So we're both kind of in it together, which is great. He's an incredible resource for me if when I'm having hard moments or even good moments. It's great to be able to share with another founder who is my partner and who cares about my business. But it's also hard because neither one of us have that stable income that, friends have that work at big companies like a Facebook or a Netflix or, that really secure job. Like when you're an entrepreneur, it's just not that way. So I cook a lot. I'm baking a lot. I'm using Malibu milk a lot in our baking, which I can talk about later on. But I'm baking with my son a lot. He loves to jump in the kitchen and help. And we're really passionate about all things food, beverage, health, wellness. Those are our passions.
That's amazing. And Cami is actually due with her first in February. So about a month.
I'm like
Wonderful.
Right before you, Brittany. I have a little girl due February 5th. So
I'm March 5th. We're exactly.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is so funny.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk to you too today about all those things and what you're talking about with maternity leave. I feel like that's been my biggest question I've been asked is, what are you going to do about maternity leave? And of course, having your own business, I'm like, I don't really know. I mean, I can't just check out and I'm going to try to take as much time off as possible. So sounds like my feeling on how that is going to go correlates exactly with what you just said. So.
Yeah. It's really hard, I think what makes it more challenging is I have a lot of good girlfriends who are pregnant also right now. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of us having babies around the same time. And, some of them work at these companies where they get 6 months full paid maternity leave. And I'm just like, and they will completely check out, right? There won't be an email, a phone call, nothing. I mean, they are off the clock and that's pretty incredible. Whereas for me, and I have a couple of founder friends who also are having babies and depending on their situation and if they have a co-founder, maybe they're taking a month or two, maybe they're not. I have another girlfriend. She doesn't have a co-founder, like me. She doesn't have a co-founder. Her business relies on her. She's probably going to end up taking 2 weeks off and then she'll be back at it. And she'll make it work and she's got good help and she's going to figure it out. But it is really hard, especially if you want to breastfeed, and I do. I breastfed the first time and I want to do it again. And so these are the demands that are put on women in particular, right? Like it's just different for men because they don't have the same, their bodies don't need to recover. They're not breastfeeding. Like it's just different. That's just the way it is. Different. So, but it's all worth it. And it's also wonderful. And I will say that, for me, with my first son being born, he was born a few weeks into COVID and it actually ended up working out beautifully because everything was closed. There was nowhere to go. There were no meetings to take in person. Everything was virtual. So I kind of got, and when they're so little, you can breastfeed them on a Zoom and just keep them out, nobody knows. And so that actually, I think, worked out to my advantage. And now here we are again with Omicron and everything's kind of shutting down again. So we'll have to see. But in a lot of ways, this kind of stay-at-home measure, this, keep to yourself is helpful for new moms because there's nowhere for you to go but be at home when you have a baby.
Yeah, definitely. It depends. Cammy's in Florida, so things are
a little different there.
Yeah, for sure. A little different here, but it's going to be interesting. And I definitely want to breastfeed. I was going to make some kind of Malibu milk joke with that, but I'm not going to. So we'll just carry on. Okay, carry on. But let's talk more about the product because I could talk to you about maternity leave and becoming a quote unquote working mama as an entrepreneur all day long. But I want to hear more about the experimentation process for Malibu milk. And, obviously you had this idea. What did that kind of look like to start executing that in terms of experimenting with it?
Yeah, I went to culinary school years ago, so I do have a pretty good palate and I understand ingredients. But the truth is, if you're making a product that you want to scale commercially, it's not straightforward. You can't just go to the grocery store and buy sugar and buy flour and make a cake and then, I'm going to make this cake and I'm going to sell it commercially. It doesn't work that way. The ingredients that you can buy at scale, like wholesale, and the ingredients that you buy at the grocery store are two completely different things. They often behave differently. They, even sugar, a really simple ingredient, there's hundreds of different kinds of sugar, and each sugar is going to act a little different. So with my milk, I did start playing at home with really simple ingredients, flax, water, Himalayan salt. And I was delighted by the texture and the taste of the milk that I was getting. It was creamy and had this great texture, and it tasted really good all on its own. And as I dug into other plant-based milks to kind of understand what they were all about, I realized that a lot of them had preservatives, oils, tons of sugar, and all of these weird ingredients that you couldn't even pronounce. And they would be fortified with vitamins, which is one of those things that's you'll get conflicting opinions on, because some, like, nutritionists or doctors might say, oh, you want fortified milk. But the truth is, if you're taking your own supplements and like you're aware of what your body needs, like, we can't say that you and I need the same amount of anything. We're different, and now we're pregnant women. And so even that is very different. But so we decided not to fortify Malibu milk. We're not adding cheap forms of vitamin B and vitamin D that are synthetic and not from the best sources, which a lot of these other brands are doing. So we're keeping it clean and using as few ingredients as possible. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to scale this product. I got a meeting with a Whole Foods buyer really quickly, and they said they wanted the product in stores. So I knew I never wanted to try to rent space in a commercial kitchen and batch it myself and sell it into a store. That whole process, and then going to find a manufacturer, that buildup is really tough. I wanted to find a manufacturer first. I knew that I wanted the first batch of product that hit stores to come from a co-packer so that I could scale. I was never interested in selling milk for $4.99 at a few Whole Foods around LA. That's a really quick way to run out of money and just, go broke. So I knew that I wanted to scale this business, and I knew that I needed a real manufacturer to do so. So this was pre-COVID, 3 years ago. I started going to networking events within the space. And a lot of these events at the time, things are a little different now, but at the time, they were kind of free-for-alls. You'd sign up online, go to a CPG, consumer packaged good, event where you could meet other founders, and I would just ask questions. And you can't be shy, and you introduce yourself and talk about what you're doing. And you need to find people who aren't directly competitive, because obviously they're not going to want to share their information. But you find somebody who's manufacturing a smoothie, and you say, hey, I'm starting this milk company. I'm looking for a manufacturer. Who are you using? Would you be able to make an introduction? And I did that. I think I only had to go to actually a couple events because I was really good about finding the right people. And, I'd ask friends of friends of friends. And that's how it all kind of got going.
I'm imagining you in your kitchen with a bunch of stuff spread around you, a little bit of some mixture here, another mixture here.
Yes, that is how it started.
Okay.
And a notepad. Because you have to be okay, you made something, it tastes great. Well, what was in it? Oh no, do I remember exactly how much I put in it? But that's exactly how it started. Yeah.
And how long was the phase of you mixing things in your kitchen then before you were okay, it's time to find someone?
Until I went and pitched Whole Foods with those little mixtures in the kitchen, or until I knew I wanted a manufacturer?
Until you knew you wanted to manufacture, I think.
I probably started mixing in my kitchen in the spring of 2018. And then I started looking for a manufacturer in like the early fall of 2018. So like a few months. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to hear more about the manufacturer process. Just to clarify for our audience as well. So clearly networking is the name of the game here in finding the right fit and just getting those connections in general. But when you say find a manufacturer, what does that manufacturer entail? Like, are they doing the packaging and the product? I don't know, like actual packaging itself, like the physical packaging, as well as like the design of the product, or just like the manufacturing of the milk itself?
I wish that it was that easy.
I'm just curious about how it all kind of comes together.
Many steps. And I also want to just share that I had no experience in this industry. Zero. Like, I didn't come from a family that had made products like consumer packaged goods, like not even something. It's not even like I came from a family that made makeup, which obviously is different from food, but at least it's a consumer packaged good. So you would have like nothing like that. My mom and dad had they had a business that created like audio cassettes that help people overcome anxiety and depression. So it was completely different from anything I ever saw, anything I ever knew. My personal work experience up until this time, like I worked at Yelp. I ran Yelp in Los Angeles. I was a community director. I did marketing. I hosted events. I did a lot of food and travel writing. I knew nothing about making milk, to your point, packaging. Well, how does that happen? And like, so I found a designer. A friend of a friend recommended this designer. When you're starting something like this, I think it's really helpful to talk to everybody that you know about it. And some entrepreneurs will tell you not to do that, like keep it close to your heart. But if you need help, like, I was having lunch with a friend one day and I said, I need a designer who can help me design this bottle. And he said, oh, I know somebody great who I went to Berkeley with. And he introduced me to her, and she's who helped me come up with the logo and the design of the bottle. And then when I found the manufacturer, they told me the type of bottles that they could use. They introduced me to the bottle supplier. And then I had to tweak the designs to fit this particular bottle, right? You don't get to go into the manufacturer and say, well, I want my bottle to be 25 ounces and I want the shape to look like this. That just doesn't happen. You're working under their restraints of the equipment they already have. There's really expensive things called change parts that only fit particular bottles. So you are stuck within those restraints unless you want to shell out several $100,000 for new change parts for a custom bottle. But you're paying the couple $100,000 for the change part, and then you'd have to pay somebody to design and blow and make your custom bottles. So if you're trying to do things cost effectively, you want things that are already available, being made in bulk, that you can buy at lower costs. So that's what I did. And I actually I knew I wanted to do a 32 ounce bottle. The co-packer wouldn't do that for me. They forced me into a 48 ounce bottle. And then a year ago, I was able to switch back to a 32 ounce bottle. So it's been a bit of a dance. But, and now we have our own graphic designer on the team who's incredible, but it's all a work in process, and again, like, I think the power of friends, your network, like, hey, do you know a graphic designer? Do you know anybody who could help me? And you need to, and take people to lunch. Like, I would find people within the industry, friends of a friend, right? And I would take them to lunch. Let me buy you lunch. Can I just ask you some questions? And that hour of time, I'd sit there with my notebook and I would write notes after pages and pages of notes from these. And these are people who were my age, but who had, started a company. They were 2 or 3 years ahead of me, and they had relationships and they knew graphic designers and packaging contacts and ingredient suppliers. And so I would just write these notes, and then I'd go home and I'd, try to transcribe these notes into a more legible, working paper. And then I would just dig in on all the information that I got. And I remember those. I don't do that anymore, but I will still take the time. Actually, yesterday, I had a call with another founder. She makes towels, cotton towels. So very different to Malibu milk, right? But but she's very similar life stage. She has 2 very young kids. Her oldest kid is 1 month apart from mine. And, so she's a working mom and she's dealing with the same things that I am in terms of challenges from the pandemic. We're all seeing issues with increase in our prices from our suppliers. We're seeing issues in our shipping. Logistics has gone up like 30% and it's horrible. And so we were able to talk through some of those things. And then we were talking about PR and what's been effective for her versus what's been effective for me. And these are things that apply to any business. So when someone offers you the chance to speak to another business person, there's always something to learn. And so I always take advantage of that. And, it was a 20-minute call yesterday and I took it while I was out on a walk, but it was great. And, maybe something will come from that. I'm looking for some new PR help. Maybe she'll have a contact. You just have to be open and kind of always looking.
Yeah, it's great tips for any business owner. Most of our audience is female, as well as running their own creative business of some sort. So whether they're doing wedding invitations or photography, a lot of things in the creative world, and a lot of also product makers for different things as well. And like any of these tips you were giving apply to just about anybody, because you have to be willing to put yourself out there. Like even if somebody's going to say no, that's literally the worst thing people can do most of the time is say no. And so you just kind of have to, get over
again
it.
And again and again. And you just keep going. You keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you obviously moved into the stage pretty quickly because you kind of had your eyes set on the goal. So your Malibu milk went into stores in the fall of 2019. So how did the process for getting in touch with Whole Foods go? And it sounds like that happened faster. Like you got a yes much faster than you had even expected. So take us kind of from there and walk us through what happened next.
So I got an email of a buyer from a friend. I didn't ask for an introduction. I just asked for an email. I sent a note and I figured it would take several months to get the meeting and I could get my ducks in a row while I was waiting on the meeting. And the buyer said, "Oh, why don't you come in, next week?" And I kind of panicked and I almost canceled the meeting, but I called the friend who had given me the email and he said, "Don't cancel this meeting. You might not get this meeting again." So took the meeting with little samples from my kitchen. And that's when the buyer tasted the product and said, "I want to get this in stores." And that's when I knew that I had a customer. So that was really exciting. And that's when I knew I had to go find a co-packer and get this thing going. That process took, I want to say that meeting was in November. I think it probably took about 3 months. So it was pretty quick to get it on shelf. That just depends on so many things, right? Like who the buyer is, the product, their reset schedule. I don't know if things could still happen that quickly. And I wouldn't say that we were fully rolled out until the end of 2019. So, the initial kind of launch, they launched me with 10 stores. They wanted to do a trial to see how it did. It did well. Then they rolled me out to all 50 stores in the region about a month after that. That was the timeline. Then, again, Whole Foods is now owned by Amazon. Rules are different. Things are different. So it's not to say it couldn't happen that way. I think it could, but in retrospect, at the time it felt so slow. I was like, God, this is taking forever. And when I look back on it, I was like, oh, that actually all happened pretty quickly. And then you need to learn. I was going into grocery stores. I was standing at Whole Foods demoing the product myself. I wanted to hear what consumers had to say. I was taking it to farmers market on the weekends and standing at booths, because having people come up and try the product and giving you real honest feedback right then and there's nothing like it. The challenges with that now with COVID too, it's not really the same. But, learning and then evolving the product, the formula that I started with and the flavors that I started with are very different today from what they were a couple of years ago.
Yeah. What's some of the funniest feedback you would get from people in person? Because I imagine you'd have to have a kind of a thick skin if people are going to say whatever to your face.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any that stand out or that you remember and you were like, oh, just like funny things people say?
Yeah. I mean, people will just come up to you and tell you that they don't like it. So, you've got to know that not you're never going to please 100% of the people. It's not possible. So don't strive for that. But you need to be listening and see if that there's trends, right? Like initially all of our products had cinnamon. And then I started to realize that not everybody loves cinnamon as much as I do. I want to use this for mashed potatoes, but I don't want my mashed potatoes to taste like cinnamon. And so, I love cinnamon. So I was a little crushed, but like I had to hear feedback that like, okay, cinnamon probably doesn't taste good in mashed potatoes or like on in every dish. So we pulled cinnamon out of a few of our flavors. And now there's only cinnamon in our unsweetened vanilla. So, and it's constantly having your ear to the ground and constantly tweaking your product to make it the best that it can possibly be.
Yeah. And so I'm in Georgia and Cammie's in Florida. So would we have Whole Foods here carrying your product now?
No, Whole Foods in Georgia and Florida aren't carrying the product yet. We're working on it. But you could get the product on our website, actually. So we have shelf-stable bottles that we are shipping all over the country. And we will offer your listeners 20% off their first order. So all they have to do is go to malibumilk.com, and it's milk with a Y. And if they put in the code Biz Birthday Bash, they will get 20% off their first order. So
amazing, because I want to try it.
Me too.
Ship to your front door. And, I think one of the most compelling things about the product, which I haven't even mentioned yet, is when I was doing this research, like the catalyst for coming up with Malibu milk, I realized that oat milk in general is covered in glyphosate, AKA weed killer. It's full of sugar. They say that a glass of oat milk has a higher impact on your blood sugar than a can of Coca-Cola. Meanwhile, almond milk is just almond flavored water. There's no nutrients in it because you strain all the almonds out. I wanted to do something different. I wanted Malibu milk to be real nutrition. So we use the whole ground flaxseed. We don't strain anything out. So you end up with fiber, omega-3s, protein, lignans in every single glass. You're getting a wealth of nutrition from this ancient flaxseed that has been used for thousands of years for health and wellness. And not, that's it. We're not filling it with like preservatives. We're not filling it with artificial flavors or with oils. And so we have a lot of biohackers, people who are super into health and wellness, ordering our product. And the shelf-stable package, the formula is the exact same as the refrigerated package that you buy at Whole Foods. So the only difference is the packaging that allows us to ship it shelf stable. And it's great because you can store it in your pantry until you open it. And then then you keep it in your fridge. And the milk is so versatile. It works with baking, coffee, froths really beautifully, particularly our unsweetened froths so well. So you can use it in savory dishes. You can use it in, thank you. You can use it in savory dishes. You can really use it in anything.
That it's incredible because I just remember hearing the podcast that I listened to you on before. When your assistant reached out, I listened to it right away. And you were telling some facts about almond milk that quite honestly blew my mind. And I kid you not, Brittany, over the holidays, this was like my talking point with my family. I was like, did you know that 10% of California's water supply is used for almonds? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's shocking. And let me tell you, California is in a drought. And I know because I pay a water bill here every month. And let me tell you, it is expensive. And let me tell you something else. Almonds, are not a resource that we rely on, right? Water is, okay? Water is something that we absolutely need for survival. We don't need almonds. There are other choices. And the flax flour, the only water required is natural rainfall. So none of this crazy irrigation. And there's a ton of horrible things about what's required for the almond trees. They have to bring in bees and they're spraying these almond trees with these pesticides. And then it's confusing the bees, and that's why our bee colonies are dying off. I mean, the whole thing is just a disaster. And 80% of the world's almonds are coming from the state of California. So it's a real local issue for us here. And again, like it'd be one thing if it was like, well, almond milk is so good for you, but it's it's not. That's the thing. Like, it's kind of just almond flavored water. Like there's not a lot of protein. There's not a lot of flavor. Like so why not try a flax milk that has more nutrition for you? It's got prebiotics, which are great for your gut. It has fiber, also great for your gut, your digestion. And it has some protein, it has omega-3s, helps with your cholesterol, helps with your skin and your hair health. Gee, sign me up. And it's good for our environment. Wow. Like, of course I want this in milk form. Give it to me any way I can get it.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I really wanted to have you on because you were just filling a hole in the market that is needed, that I've learned so much about since listening to your other podcasts. And the one thing I wanted to ask you, the one question I had about the product, I'm assuming it's vegan because there's no animal products.
Yep.
And then is it keto? Does it fall under that category?
Yeah, three of our 4 flavors are keto. So we have
sweet.
we have 4 flavors. We have our unsweetened vanilla, our normal just unsweetened, which is a little more neutral if you don't want like a strong vanilla flavor. We have our Oat Flax Blend. So we found oats that are not covered in glyphosate, that are organic, and we blended them with some of our flax. So you get a little more nutrition. Our oat milk is unsweetened. So compared to some of the other oat milks that are 150 calories a glass, ours is 45. And you get fiber and you get protein. And then our 4th flavor is actually my favorite right now. It's called the Slightly Sweetened. It's new. And we are using organic date sugar. So no refined sugar at all. It only has 5 grams of sugar per serving. Kids love it. It's great in baking. It's great in mac and cheese. It's great in coffee. And it's great on its own. And people are loving it. And only 5 grams of sugar. Skim milk has more sugar than that. And like I said, 3 of our products are paleo friendly, keto friendly, Whole30 friendly. And they're all vegan and they're all allergen free. There are a ton of people with nut allergies, with soy allergies. My son is going to be starting like a preschool program here in a few weeks. And, I got this long notice of how nothing with nuts, no nuts anywhere, and flax is allergen free so that you can have the flax milk. So my next goal, eventually I have to make little kids versions so they can take them to school because they're allergen friendly.
He's so cute.
I know. That was going to be my next question, Brittany, is so you have the 4 flavors and of course, like our wheels are always turning a mile a minute when you have your own business. So are you thinking of introducing more flavors or more variations of the product, or what are you kind of thinking is next for Malibu Milk? Or is it just like hammer down and get in more stores?
No, I'm so glad you asked. We have new products that just launched in the last couple months. They are I'm going to show you guys because I know everybody else can't see, but at least you can see these. So these are my flax and oat milk coffee and matcha lattes. And, for you guys listening, they are 8-ounce cans, a coffee and a matcha that are blended with the milk. We are using all organic ingredients, no added sugar. So if you go to the grocery store today and you try to, pick up a latte in the ready to drink coffee section, you're probably looking at 150 calories, up to 30 grams of sugar. You are going to crash and burn an hour after you drink that beverage. You are going to feel like crap. These are designed to do the opposite. So they have a little bit of protein. They are loaded with fiber. They are your digestion's new best friend. So instead of having a crash from the sugar, there's no added sugar. You're going to get a little pick-me-up from the caffeine. The coffee has 70 milligrams of caffeine. The matcha has about 17 milligrams of caffeine. And then you're getting all this fiber. So we also like to joke they are the number 1 way to go number 2. And they are gentle yet effective. And I created this because I was talking to like so many friends, and particularly my mother, who kept telling me about her bathroom problems in the morning and how she was having coffee, but it just sometimes wouldn't work. And I was like, well, you need to add more flax milk so you get your fiber. But I was realizing you need to add like a lot of flax milk to get, enough fiber. And that's when I had this idea of creating these ready to drink beverages that are no sugar added, low in calories, high in fiber, actually good for you. So these are available also on our website. So that again, that Biz Birthday Bash code will get you 20% off your first order on our website, and it'll be shipped straight to your front door. And they are, you just take them with you anywhere, have one in the morning, have one whenever you feel like you need it. And people are loving these. So we're very excited about these new products.
I specifically love how you are an influencer for your own brand, because this is what we're trying to tell our listeners this all the time, that it's not like the sales it slides away when you're so passionate about your own product that all you can do is like scream it from the rooftops.
Yeah, totally.
And that's like, it's just like, so you're so natural talking about the product that you're like obsessed with. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. We always say like, if you're not excited about it, why would anyone else be excited about it?
Totally.
So you're like the perfect example.
I was literally texting a friend as we were speaking whose child has a lot of top allergies. And probably in the top 10, she might have like 7 of them. And so I was sending her a link. I was like, you need to try this.
Oh, great. Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. So besides standing in the store, talking to people, making lots of phone calls, can you talk about other steps you took to grow the brand awareness for Malibu Milk over the past years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing it, right?
Yes.
That's why I'm on these podcasts. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It is hard. We are marketing on Facebook and Instagram. I am shouting it from the rooftops. I am, creating my own relationships with what I hope are some of the right people. And I tried PR at one point. I paid a very fancy PR agency a lot of money, and what amounted to be the purchase price of a nice automobile, and yet nothing came from it. It's really hard. And I feel like for my brand, it shouldn't be. We check every box. We're organic. We're sustainable. We're owned by a mom. Like, okay, like this is great, like what else do you need? And yet getting the story out, it's really hard when you're working with a small budget and you're competing against the big brands who are spending tens of thousands of dollars on marketing, on Super Bowl commercials for their milk with, their CEO doing something silly in a field. Like we can't do that. We don't have anywhere near that kind of budget. So one of my favorite like grassroots marketing things that I like to do is every time that I go to a grocery store, I buy a bottle of Malibu milk, and I'll look for somebody else who's checking out. And I like to find somebody who's buying another plant-based milk, and I'll go up to them and I'll introduce myself and I'll say that I'm the founder, and I always like to buy a bottle of my product when I'm in the grocery store. And I tell them the story, how Malibu milk is different. And I've had some really cool happenings come from that. There was one time where somebody told me they didn't want it, which was really sad. She was in like, and granted, like it's COVID, right? She was in an N95 mask. She was only buying like baby yogurt. I think she was probably like, who knows what was going on in her day. And listen, if she happens to be listening, I'm not offended, but in the moment I definitely was, and I had to find somebody else. But I've done this, oh my God, probably 50 times now. And the other day, actually, I was at a Whole Foods in Malibu and I was buying some of the product, and the woman behind me, she was with her husband, and I saw that she had like 3 almond milks, 3 containers. And I was like, this is the perfect person, right? I want somebody who's going to buy a lot of Malibu milk. And I said, I see you're buying almond milk. I want to tell you about flax milk. And her husband comes up and he goes, I know all about flax milk. We buy Malibu milk. And I said, you do? I said, I only see the almond milks. And they were just in the cart. He had put them up on the belt yet. That was a first. Like he literally had them in the cart. They were buying them. And then I got to introduce myself, and now they're connected to the founder. And like, I would be so excited if, my favorite, cookie manufacturer happened to buy me the cookies as I would, and I still gave them the bottle for free, and it was a different flavor they got to try. So if you're, that's what being your biggest influencer for your brand is about. It's not only what you do online during the day, during the week. Like that was a Sunday morning and I was with my family and like still selling the product, and you never know like what that's going to turn into.
Do you guys have TikTok?
Yes, we do, and it's growing pretty well.
Okay,
actually.
good. I was gonna say, because I saw the woman who founded Poppy, which is the probiotic. Yeah. So what she's doing on her TikTok account, I was like, is probably the exact thing you guys could do, because it's a brand that she founded and started because she saw, a big hole in the market. And so I'm glad you guys are on there. I used to I'll just ask Cammie. At the beginning of last year, I would kind of poo-poo TikTok, and now I'm all about it. I did a total 180. I completely changed my mind.
I agree with you. We didn't use it for a while, and then we started leaning into it, I would say, in the last month and a half, and we're seeing really fun results. And if you check out Malibu Milk on TikTok, you will see some really funny videos. We are leaning into the humor on TikTok and having a lot of fun with it. A lot of working mom puns, pregnancy puns, going to the bathroom puns. We let it all loose. So check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking you guys up right now so that I don't forget to follow you later.
It's cool that that's you're starting to lean into that, and just over the past month or so, and it's starting to work, because I'm like, I gotta utilize this, and I just can't. I don't know, Brittany. My brain doesn't work with TikTok. It's just not there.
I get it. I feel like if you follow an account that you kind of understand what they're about, it helps. I followed a couple of moms. Molly Sims is really entertaining as a mom to follow. And so that helped me kind of understand okay, this is different from other social media, and I get it. We're just supposed to have fun here and make fun of ourselves and have fun and be silly. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. But then people find you and they develop a genuine connection with your brand. And I don't know, Cammie and I have talked about this a lot, where we're starting to feel like Instagram is just feeling tired. It feels like work. You're like, this isn't what I remember it being, 5 or 6 years ago, where I could develop community. It's lost the sparkle, which is sad.
Very sad.
No, it's true. And I think it almost seems fake in a way. It's the best or the versions of people's selves that they want the world to see, but it's not real. TikTok seems more real. Mm-hmm. It seems more authentic. And you get to make fun of yourself on TikTok. On Instagram, it feels like everything needs to be perfect. And honestly, what's perfect as a work? I haven't brushed my hair today. I haven't showered yet. It's 11. I might get to shower around 7:00 tonight. That's just the reality. Okay. And am I ready to go on Instagram right now and look picture perfect? Absolutely not. So I think that part of the reason that TikTok is, it seems more real. It doesn't need to be so produced.
Yep, for sure. It's easy to kind of turn something into a video real quick. Okay, I'm going to let Cammie pick. We have a few more questions left, so I'm going to let her pick the next one.
Yeah. So, Brittany, real quick, I would love to talk about, we kind of talked about maternity leave a little bit, but what kind of boundaries did you put in place with your business to help maintain that healthy relationship with your family while you're running your own business? It sounds like your husband's also an entrepreneur, and it sounds like your son has been kind of involved with some of the things I saw on social media. So can you just talk about that balance?
Oh, that's such a great question. Boundaries. I could probably be a little better about that. I had a little bit of a hiccup, a work hiccup that I'll share. I think it's a fun story. A couple of weeks ago, we were pitching investors. I was pitching investors, and we got in this crazy order where one person ordered all these milks to different addresses. And my team forwarded to me, and they're like, hey, this could be suspicious. Can you look into it? And so I told them to send a note to the person and just say, hey, did you mean to order all this milk? And they CC'd me, and I was giving my son a bath, and I was on my phone doing my email, as I, tend to do, because trying to do it all. And I realized that it was the investor that I had just spoken to. And so I wrote back in all capital letters, this, and I CC'd the investor person. I was like, this is the investor that I was talking to. And I was humiliated because I don't use profanity very often. And I've never used it in an email. And of course, the one time that I did. So I share this story because if I had set a boundary of not writing an email when my son was in the bathtub and like being in the present moment, I probably wouldn't have had this like slip up that was really embarrassing. You know, it ended up being fine. The person did not invest in Malibu milk, but I think that it's really hard. I wish I could say that I had the answer with boundaries as a working mom. The truth is I don't, and it gets really messy and they overlap. And, I will be on my phone sending emails next to my son sometimes because like one of my friends who's a working mom, I remember when I was like, my son was a few months old and I was breastfeeding and I was like, I have to be on the phone. Like when I'm breastfeeding him sometimes. And she was like, you got to do what you've got to do. Like I could not be breastfeeding him and like bottle feeding him and letting someone else do it. But I think ultimately like he knows that I love him and I go out of my way to spend conscious time with him every day, where I put my phone to the side and I definitely do that at dinner time where like, and I'm just talking to him and I'm just focused on him and at bedtime and where I'm reading to him and, but as a working mom, like you do have to do the best that you can do. And maybe you're not always going to be able to have your phone off and away and not sending emails. Like that's not my reality. I can't run a business and be around my kid as much as I want to if I'm not going to be on my phone. I would have to like leave the room. And so I choose to try to balance it all. And it's definitely not perfect. And I did have that one pretty bad email slip up. But I think every day is a work in progress. I'm very anxious about the second arrival of the second because I do feel like my time is so divided right now and it's about to get divided twofold. I have another human coming in who's going to need a lot of attention and I think it's going to be hard, but a lot of women have done it before me and there's a lot of working moms who I admire. And so I will figure it out. And I'm lucky to have my mother and my mother-in-law nearby. And they each come a couple of times a week and spend quality time with my son. And we have help. I'm not going to pretend like I don't have help. There's no other way to do it. You have to have help or have your child in daycare if you're working. So for us, the best choice was a live-in. And that's worked well because she can help me if I need help with, getting dinner ready, or if I want her to get dinner ready so that I can spend, a half hour with my son. That has been the best answer for my family, but it's really hard.
Yeah. It's not perfect by any means. That's kind of what I hear from everyone is the consensus.
No.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany. I mean, this has been invaluable for our audience. Like I said, it's been unlike any episode we've ever done because we've never interviewed anyone who has a food product before. So,
wow, well, I love that.
Yes. So I'm going to let Cammie do housekeeping. But before we do that, tell us all the places to follow you. You've told some of them along the way, but just once again, your website, TikTok, Instagram. I think the handle for the most part is the same, but say all that information one more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is malibumilk.com and it's milk with a Y. That's where you're going to actually find the best pricing, believe it or not. Our most competitive pricing is on our website. So definitely go there. Even if you're in a place where you can go to the grocery store, you can find it on our website. We're also launching in Albertsons in Texas this month, and in many more grocery stores in LA. We're in Whole Foods, Ralph's. We're in Whole Foods in New York. We're in like PCC in the Seattle area. We're in a ton of grocery stores. You can find the list of all the grocery stores on our website. But again, might as well order it online because it'll come straight to your front door. Use code BizBirthdayBash for 20% off your first order. And then check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Malibu Milk with a Y. We are all over and we would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yay, perfect. Thank you, Brittany. And of course, you guys, if you're listening to this episode and you loved it, definitely screenshot it, upload it to your stories on Instagram, tag us all, let us know what you learned from Brittany today. And then if you feel like leaving us a 5-star rating review. We only accept 5-star rating reviews at this point in time. So please do that on iTunes.
Me too.
We're only accepting that. There's nothing else. We're going to 22 with some good energy here, you guys. So help us kick off the new year with a nice 5-star review on iTunes. It helps us get found to keep growing this podcast and talk to other amazing folks like Brittany. And then, of course, if you have follow-up questions for us, you can go to our website, bizbirthdaybash.com/Q&Cake, and ask questions there. We will answer those on our Q and Cake episodes. They're always fun. They're always off the record a little bit. So go make sure you leave your questions there. And yes, Brittany, thank you so much for sharing so much of your journey with us. And this has been amazing. And I've just loved talking to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. It was so fun.
Good. Thank you so much.
Can't wait to try some Malibu milk.
I know. Yeah. I'm going to go order mine right
after this. I am literally ordering some right now.
Okay. Thank you. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, everyone. Have a good day. Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys, seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best. You guys, everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and is full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group.